privileged and honored to be here with you. I understand that for anyone who does not speak English, you all have a headset. Is that correct? We good? Can you put your hand up if you speak English? Can I see you put your hand up if you speak English? Excellent. And put your hand up if you have a headset and it's working fine. No. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I don't speak Russian, and they told me that you have headsets, so I hope that that works out great. I want to thank Global Synergy and the Forum for having me here today. I really appreciate the children who sang that song. Can we thank those children who sang that song, please? Thank you. I want to say today that I don't know who you are and I don't know what challenges you have, but not all challenges are bad. There are times in life where things happen that you don't understand how you're going to overcome some obstacles. You don't know how to overcome some fears. And I hope that today, with the spirit of entrepreneurship, that you're inspired to not see challenges just as a bad thing, but to see challenges as a good thing at times. We know that as an entrepreneur, we can say, well, it's very difficult to become an entrepreneur in Russia. It's hard in Moscow. Either there's a lack of resources, or there's too much competition, or there's some other reason why it's difficult to become an entrepreneur. I don't say that I'm personally an entrepreneur as a primary thing or career, but I'm first of all a father, I'm second of all a family man with my husband, role with my wife Kanae. I love my children and I love my wife very, very much. And no matter who Nik Vujicic is, no matter what good and excellent things I ever take on, whether it be a speaking career, entrepreneurship, projects, first and foremost is faith and family. And I don't know who knows the good news, but my wife is expecting identical twin girls in 3 weeks' time. We already have 2 boys, 4 and 2 years old, Kiyoshi and Dayan, and they're already taller than me. And I used to be somebody who, oh, there they are. Yeah, aren't they beautiful? I never thought that my dreams would come true of being happy. I never thought that I would have peace in my heart. I always thought to myself that I would always be alone. But my parents taught me some great principles and values to dream big and to never give up. I was convinced that I would never be able to get married and even hold my wife's hand. Well, I don't need hands to hold my wife's hand. I just need to be the husband that holds her heart. And you don't need hands to hold your wife's heart. How am I going to hold my kids when they're crying, I thought. Well, I cannot put my arms around them, but they put their arms around me. And what I want you to understand is that the power of perspective of challenges is so key. You know, my mom and dad, they had a wonderful perspective and really amazing foundation of love. They loved me. They told me that every day. Nick, you're beautiful. Nick, don't worry about what anyone else says about you. Nick, you can do anything you put your heart to. I want you to know that if it wasn't for a foundation of love, I wouldn't be who I am. If it wasn't for a foundation of love, I actually wouldn't be happy. Let me ask you 2 questions today. Who are you and what do you want? I want to be real with you and tell you that achieving goals, there's nothing wrong with achieving goals. There's nothing wrong with making money. But your identity and your value has nothing to do with what you achieve, or what people think of you or how much you have. We need to first get rid of the mentality of disability, of victimization. When we have a challenge, the first disability we have is poor me. I have no arms and legs. Maybe your situation is different. Maybe you have an alcoholic father. Maybe you have a lack of skills. Maybe you want to start a business, but you need money to start a business. Now you can either sit in the corner, like I could have sat in the corner and said, you know what, I have no arms and legs, I have no arms and legs, but my parents said, stop complaining about what you don't have and try to change what you can. Be thankful for what you have, because when you're thankful for what you have, now you use what you have. Have you ever thought of it this way? Success? Success is not how much money you have. Success is understanding that somebody to have success was a master of using what they had to the best of their ability. For instance, if I don't know how to invest properly $100, how do you think I'm going to be able to know how to invest $1,000? For you in your life, we come on this victimization of angle, saying, well, I wish I had this and I wish I had that. When my parents said, Nick, don't wish for arms and legs. God didn't give you arms and legs, but He gave you a brain. Use your brain. You have a little foot. Do something with your little foot. I want to ask you today, what are you thankful for? Think of it for a second. Because that attitude of gratitude is not in our mind when we're in this victimization mode. Everyone's against me. I wish I was in a different place. I wish I was brought up different. I wish I had more money. Stop being a victim and see what you do have and give yourself a chance. I don't want to talk about broken pieces in your life. I want to talk about you, where you're at right now in your heart and your goal. Because no matter where you are starting, we all start from the beginning. Take one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. You don't know what's around the corner till you go around the corner. I don't know what I can achieve with my little foot until I try. Thomas Edison, he made the light bulb. Anyone know how many times he tried to make the light bulb? 10,000 times. Thomas Edison changed everything. Look how many lights we have. They probably have 1,000 lights in this auditorium. How many light bulbs are there in the world? It was because it started with a vision and a dream, and he didn't talk about what he didn't have. He tried his best with what he did have. And when someone came up to Thomas Edison and said, hey, how does it feel failing 9,999 times? You know what he said? I never failed 9,999 times. Now I know 9,999 ways in how not to make a light bulb. Isn't that interesting? Is it okay to fail, Moscow? Is it okay to fail? Da? If you fail, are you a failure? Niet. Is it okay to fail? Yes. Yeah. Who do you know who has never failed at anything? Has your dad failed at something? Has your mom failed at something? Have you failed at something? Has your spouse failed at something? We all have something in our life that we go through our ups and downs. If you see my foot, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. And I want you to know that you need to be your biggest encourager. You can be victimized by people who say, oh, that's your dream and goal? It's never going to happen. Guess what happened when I told my mom and dad that I wanted to be a speaker? You know what she said? What? You want to be a speaker? They said, uh-huh. She said, what do you want to speak about? I said, I don't know. She said, who's going to want to hear you speak? I said, I don't know. She said, are they going to pay for you? I said, I don't know. She said, do you have any invitations? No. How are you going to get them? I don't know. She said, even if you had something to say and someone wanted to hear you speak and they paid you, how are you going to get to the speaking engagement? Good questions, right? Now, it wasn't demeaning from my mom and dad. My mom and dad are very logical. They're very wise. My mom and dad always said, Nick, work hard. Life is not going to be just something that you get given things. You got to do something. Don't be victimized. When I went to the shopping mall and I saw a toy that I wanted, when I said, Mom, I want that, you know, they said, no. Pay for it yourself. But I have no money. Good. Then figure out how you're going to get money. You see, they were not mean to me, but they didn't want me to be a victim, to believe that everything is owed to me. They said to me, your brother Nick takes out the rubbish bin. Your sister is too young. You can do something at the house and get paid. What do you want to do? And I said, you know what? I'll vacuum the floor. At 6 years old, I started vacuuming the floor, walking like this, and holding the vacuum cleaner like this, and go like this. And a week pay would be $2. If I wanted something from the store that costed $15, I'd have to save for 7 weeks or 8 weeks. Do you know what that taught me? It taught me patience. It gave me dignity. It helped me to understand how important it is to save money, to set goals. All of those lessons came from my parents saying no to that toy. Please don't be a person that gives everything your children want. I'm very generous to my children, but I also set goals for them. And I want you to know that those early things that my parents did for me helped me to understand, you know what? I have control over maybe not everything, but I'm going to take control over what I can change. That led me to a financial literacy career. In my mind, knowledge, expansion of a world of financial independence. I went into stock market investing at age 16. Me and my brother, when my dad was at work, we traded his money on the stock market for him. We were teenagers. At age 19, I bought my first real estate investment property and made 50% in 1 year. I want you to know that dreams can come true, but you need to be faithful with the little things first and try to figure out what mental disabilities do we have when it comes to dreaming big. You might think that you will have people who will put you down, and you think that maybe my mom and dad were not encouragers to my dream, but guess what? They were not the biggest discouragers either. I was. Think of the 3 biggest discouragers in your life. Who are they? It only takes 5 seconds for someone to discourage you, and you walk away, and guess what you do? You repeat it in your mind. When I go to school and people look at me and tease me at school, it takes 3 seconds to say, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. I walk away and I'm thinking, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly. You are your biggest discourager or encourager. Don't play the victim role. Second thing, have an attitude of gratitude. I want you to think of something right now. I want you to think of actually the top 3 things that you're thankful for. Think of them. Are you a person who's thankful? Let me tell you, I've seen more poor people happy than rich people happy. I'll say it again. I've seen more poor people happy than rich people happy. I would like to be rich and happy, but that's the truth. It's not about riches that give you happiness. But if I told you right now, I want you to think of 3 things that you're happy for, I don't think money is there. I think your faith is there. I think your family is there. And I think maybe your friends are there. Let me ask you a question. If you had 15 seconds to breathe, what do you think of your life? When was the last time you hugged your wife? Or took her on a date? Or bought her flowers? Or massaged her stinky feet? When was the last time you had a conversation with your children that's not got to do with a career, or school, or cleaning their room? You see, my dad had 3 jobs. He was very, very busy. And my dad was a leader of a Protestant church. He did that voluntarily. And he did 3 jobs, plus started a church, and he had a disabled son, and 2 other children, and my mom had a full-time job as a nurse. He was very, very busy. But you know who my dad was to me? Not just my dad. He was not just my role model, he was my friend. And I talk about him in a past tense because 7 months ago, he died of cancer. And I'll never forget the times, he was 62 years old, pretty young, many people say. Yes, very young. But I'll never forget when I was a kid, that he would work so hard. But when he was home, he was home. Like when I go home, I am home. If I take my phone to the dining table, do you know what my wife does? She grabs my phone and puts it on a high bookshelf that I cannot reach. Because when I am home, then I am home. And when I'm with my family, that's my greatest joy. That's my goal. That's my passion. Yes, you must sacrifice some family time for seasons, especially when you're starting a business. But don't let the good and excellent things in this life distract you from the most important things. Because today might be your last day. Make today count. Make sure that you understand that at your funeral, no one's going to talk about your achievements. They're going to talk about who you are. Were you kind? Were you loving? Were you gracious? Were you forgiving? Were you thoughtful, or were you self-centered? I want you to know that culture doesn't have to make who you are. And yes, the business world is difficult, but you don't have to change the level of integrity in your life either. In fact, I will tell you, I would rather be a poor man with peace in my soul than a rich man who will never forget the lies he said, or regret, or shame, or guilt. Can you see a lipless man smiling? It's because he has nothing to do with arms and legs. And I'm telling you, young entrepreneurs and older entrepreneurs of Moscow and the future of Russia, your integrity matters. Because who you are and how you do what you do sets the bar and the foundation of this nation. That practices of many countries, I've been to now 68 countries, and there are many business people who believe that it's okay to bend on different integrity levels. I'll tell you right now, the moment you are not integrity as a citizen of Russia, I want you to know that you have stopped the full potential of this country. It is with integrity that we do everything we do, and that's life. How do I expect my sons to know how to be a good husband who cherishes their wife if I don't show them how I cherish their mother? How will I expect my sons to know what generosity is until they see their father donate his time and money, $1 million, through our non-profit organization to setting sex slaves free, orphanages that they can get medical equipment, wheelchairs, whatever it is. You've got to be real, and we must step out of that bubble of wanting more and not being thankful for what you have. Ask yourself today, who are you and what do you want? Today, call your mother or your father if they're alive, or your wife or your kids. Tell them that you love you. Tell them that you love them. In fact, with the permission of the person sitting next to you, I want you right now, with the permission of the person sitting next to you, give them a hug or give them a high five right now. Go. We're going to do something a little different. Are you ready? Master, are you ready? Okay, ready? Put your hand up if you've never told anybody your goals or your dreams. Put your hand up if you've never told anybody your goals and dreams. Let me see it. So you've all told somebody? No? Okay, a couple of you. I want you right now to turn to the person next to you. We're going to do this for about 3 minutes, all together, 3 or 4 minutes. I want to tell you why I'm doing this later, but I want you to turn to the person next to you, tell them your name, tell them what your goal is, and the biggest obstacle standing in the way. So in a moment, you're going to turn to the person next to you, and you're going to tell them 3 things. Your name, and then they're going to tell you their name. Then you're going to tell them your goal, and they're going to tell you their goal. Then you're going to tell them what's the biggest obstacle and challenge that stands in the way of you and that goal, and they're going to do the same for you as well. Ready, set, go. Should be onto the goals by now. 10 seconds. Great. Spasiba. Was that a healthy exercise? Is that good? Did it feel good? Isn't it cool to know someone else's goal and dream? It's not just their name, it's their goal and dream. And how good does it feel to know that you're not the only one who has a goal and dream, and you're not the only one that has an obstacle that's stopping them achieve their goal and dream? How cool would it be if I could actually tell you that most of the obstacles and challenges that you all heard are actually possibly a factor that they can overcome? I'm not going to say that everything is possible, but if someone is scared, you can overcome fear. You overcome fear by courage. Fear of what people think of us, fear of rejection, fear of failure. The way that I love to demonstrate courage is I'm actually going to jump off this table, do a backflip, and then land on the floor, okay? Are you ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nah, man, are you serious? If I did that, I'll break my arm or something. But I want you to know that I'm not going to jump off this table because there is no purpose to it. There is no benefit and there's only pain. What I want you to understand is that not all obstacles actually remain. I have no arms and legs. That will probably remain. But if the obstacle is that, well, I want to start a business but I don't have the money for it, well, again, you've got to be open to that possibility that one day, somehow, sometime, that obstacle could be removed. What I want to ask you is the obstacle that you told that person next to you, is it an absolutely impossibility? Is it or not? When I generally say that question and I do a survey, 1 out of 1,000 actually come up with something that is impossible. For instance, health. If you want to start a business but you have cancer, it doesn't mean you can't start a business. You can start a business, but with health complications, that could hinder you from achieving your goal and dream. What I want to establish in your mind is the difference of not impossible or possible, but impossible, possible, probable. I don't want to just know if something's possible, I want to know if it's probable. And I will tell you that as long as you have a mentality of doing your best in every situation, that even when you don't expect those blessings to come, that if you're actually on a plane and you sit down on the plane, you have a choice to either open your mouth to the person next to you or not open your mouth to the person next to you. Guess what? I was